On October 27th, 2024, Robinson McClellan, a composer and a curator at the Morgan Library and Museum in New York, came across an interesting little piece of paper. Small paper, about the size of a postcard, and it had music written on it, and it was old. And so he looked into it, and it turned out that it was Chopin's handwriting, and the paper was from the time of Chopin, the ink, everything was right. So this is a new Chopin waltz that we've discovered. And there was great excitement about that because, we haven't found anything new by Chopin in a long time. The piece itself, it has 3 phrases, basically. 8 bars, 8 bars, and 8 bars. 24 measures altogether. And according to Chopin specialist Alan Walker, that's a repeat sign at the end. I'm not expert on reading those scores, but so the thing should be repeated. So let's just take a look at the waltz itself. The first 8 bars is introduction, and it's a very dramatic introduction. It has 4 sforzandi and 1 triple forte. That's the 8-bar introduction. And it's quite dramatic for a piece that only has 16 more measures left. Then the first 8 bars is simple pedal point on A. And you can hear that it went to the dominant at the end of that phrase. And then the next 8 bars starts as a repetition of that, but it moves to C major and then back to A minor. So it seems fairly simple, but actually there's some complexity in here, and that's what leads me to believe that it is actually by Chopin. There's some controversy about that, but we'll get to that in a minute. We need to feel in a phrase where the strong beats are. And it can be usually divided in a simple structure like this. If there's 4 bars, usually the first measure has some kind of a strength to it, and the third measure. In this case, it's not clear, and it doesn't sound like a beginning here. It kind of sounds backwards. It seems like even though there's an accent he wrote here, it seems like this is a strong beat. And this is a first beat. It doesn't sound like a first beat, it sounds like an ending. And so this lack of clarity of where the strong measures are gives the piece a kind of a floating quality, and the length, and it makes the phrase longer because we're waiting to see where it's going to settle down and where it's going to start again. And so that's part of the beauty of this piece, I feel. So immediately people wondered, is it really by Chopin or is it a fake? This has happened before. There were some Haydn sonatas that were discovered maybe 15 years ago or so, and some expert came and played them here, showing us how they were all really by Haydn. And then shortly after that, the person who had written them and forged the documents admitted it, and they were fake. And so we're wondering about that. But everything seems right about this, except perhaps the music itself. It's very unusual in a way with the sforzandi and the drama of the short introduction. And so Alan Walker, Chopin's specialist, came up with a theory that it's actually by Julian Fontana, who is Chopin's friend. And Julian Fontana is a really interesting character. He was born in the same year as Chopin, and he was his friend and helper, actually, and he helped him organize his music. And then when Chopin died, this is the thing that Julian Fontana is most known for. Chopin wanted him to destroy all of his unpublished music. And he refused. Also, Chopin's mother and sister didn't want that to happen either. So he didn't do that, and that's why we have pieces like the Fantasy Impromptu would have been destroyed. And all the pieces after Opus 66, there are a lot of beautiful pieces after that, and he saved them. And so Alan Walker believes that it could have been written by Julian Fontana. And so I think maybe we'll never know that, but to me it sounds rather complex and sophisticated. Chopin would have been 20 or 25 years old, according to the age of the paper, when this piece was written. Whoever it's by, it's like in museums, they've been de-authenticating Rembrandt paintings, and then they lose millions of dollars in value instantly, but it's the same painting, and this is the same piece. And also, I doubt that it would be forged by anyone, because if they wanted to forge something, they would probably forge something less strange than this. I mean, they'd want to make it sound a little bit more like a normal Chopin waltz. So I assume that it is by Chopin. So what does this discovery mean for us? First of all, it gives us a piece that we can play. It's very short, but it's not very difficult to learn, and a very pleasing and interesting piece. Another thing that we can do is take it as a kind of a template for a composition. Perhaps Chopin had something grander in mind. Because of this introduction, it kind of indicates a longer piece. And so we could compose a substantial piece based on this. And two of my colleagues have actually done that. That's part of this project. They've written, Logan Skelton and Matthew Bengtson have written really beautiful and interesting pieces based on this waltz, and some of the students have played those, and you can hear that when we post them online. Chopin was, of course, a great improviser, and when he was young, he would go to parties, dance parties, but he wouldn't dance. He would play the piano for everyone else. All evening, he would be improvising mazurkas. Then when he went home, he would remember the best ones and write them down. And perhaps this is the beginning of some improvisation. So that's what I tried to do with this. I started playing it and then tried to improvise. And that's not something we do very much, as much as we should these days, really. People are scared to improvise. It's not going to sound right. But in the privacy of your room, you can do anything you want. And so I improvised. And some things sounded pretty nice, but then I would forget them. Couldn't put them together. I got the brilliant idea of using my phone and making video recordings of my improvisation. So I did that, and then I pieced together something based on those, and I came up with something. I haven't written it down yet, so I have to make sure I remember it, but I'll try to show you what I came up with. It starts with the actual waltz, and then I have this kind of rambling improvisation, and it comes back to Chopin's waltz at the end. So I also recorded that on our project, maybe a little bit better that time on the project. But anyway, that's what I came up with. And another valuable thing about this waltz, I feel, is that it prompts us to look at the pieces that we already have. Because Chopin wrote a lot of pieces in A minor, I noticed. These short pieces, it's like a mini genre in a way. Melancholy, haunting pieces. It seemed to pull out of him a certain kind of a feeling. And there are quite a few of them. Some of them are pretty well known, like this waltz. That one, a lot of younger students play. It's not very difficult. Then we have this also well-known mazurka. And this famous waltz is a really great piece. All kind of in the same world. And that, actually, I have to show you this one phrase, this phrase here. And let's see, other ones that we have are, there are two pieces that pianists, even piano students who know the repertoire so well, don't really know. And that's my point here, really, is that we can discover things, and things we already have that are really great, like this mazurka, which I imagine a large percentage of you have never heard. It's called Notre Temps. It was written for publication in a magazine called Our Time. That's why it's called that. And it's not part of the normal set of mazurkas. So, great piece, really. And very, I feel, profound. And another one like that, he wrote for his friend Émile Gaillard, who was a banker. In the end, he was a very wealthy man, but as a young man, he was a student of Chopin, and Chopin wrote this mazurka, which I'll just play the beginning of again. Those octaves are kind of unexpected in that piece. And then, of course, this also a beautiful mazurka that is one of the pieces that would have been destroyed if it were not for Julian Fontana. Yeah, and so all similar to this little waltz that we found. And another reason why I think that little waltz is by Chopin. And the last one, Opus 59, great mazurka, very complicated, just the beginning of it. And in this piece, Chopin manages to make the dominant at the beginning sound very exotic, really. So anyway, a whole set of great music that I just wanted to share with you, and I hope that you enjoy looking through this also. Thank you.